So I've just got home from work and I've just gone and fed the pigs on my way back through, giving the goats some treats. I got some bread there, and I've just noticed their udders in the last 24 hours have really started to swell up. So I've got a feeling that we might get some early kids. We're not due for another 13 days. I don't know if you can see, but that there is quite a swollen udder. That's not quite full capacity when we're milking. We do get a little bit bigger than that, but it's on the way, and she's not far behind. So there are some tests you can do. There are ligaments that you can feel in the back end of a goat. Basically, you know, that's the most certain way of saying that goat is going to kid in the next little while, you know, hours. But I don't think we're quite there yet, but I will start checking them probably in a day or two, because that's quite a marked change on where we were 24 to 48 hours ago. So I think we're going to get some early kids, but it's not so early that we need to worry. You know, it's only a few days beyond what we would consider to be full term. So, and all of these goats, all these girls that we've got here, kidded last year and the year before Fern did with absolutely no trouble. So we've no reason to believe that, you know, we're going to get any difficulty. Of course, Sid, the father, is an unknown to us. This is the first time that he's bred, but in terms of the mother and the actual birthing process, they're all experienced and, you know, with a good pedigree. There's no reason to believe that we'll have any trouble, at least from that side of things. Something else I didn't show you, actually, it's Monday evening, and I recorded a video yesterday that I put up that you've already seen most likely, where I was fixing our polytunnel up, getting it ready for the spring, but I neglected to share with you guys the Great Wall of Beana. We've got our canes all in and ready. They run the entire length of this bed along the back there at varying height. Now, one of the things about not buying canes, you know, if you're going to use canes from your garden, if you're going to try and use canes for multiple years, is you're not going to get that uniformity of height and what have you. That doesn't bother me. I could not care any less about that. But you can see at that end, we're sort of 8 foot tall. And then as we come down, we gradually get into last year's canes and then previous year's canes that have snapped at various heights. And we're only about 3.5 feet at the end there, but that's fine. I'm very happy with that. So what my plan is, this is all subject to change, but as I've got it written down at the moment inside, is we've got the first 10 or so canes there given to broad beans. We use a semi-dwarf variety, so it doesn't, strictly speaking, need the cane, but sometimes if they have a really good year, they might push on and they might be grateful of a little bit of support. But then we're going to go canes, then we're going to go peas, then we're going to go squashes. We're going to go butternut squash and pumpkins for the third section, and then onto our beans, French beans, and then runner beans. So all of these will be full later in the season. And like I mentioned in a previous video, the reason that we're doing this with our squashes is because they just take up so much space on the ground, and I'm going to try and use that space for other things this year. So where they're going to be used for pumpkins and squash, I will need to reinforce them. They won't be quite strong enough, but for the other plants, I think they're going to be just right. But yeah, I'm really glad to have got that up and done. So we've got our water trough filling up just over here for our goats, and I think we're full now. I can just see it starting to drip over the edge, so I'm going to pop back down to the house with my wheelbarrow. I'm going to grab another bin of feed for the pigs that I've picked up and turn that water off. So just stepped down from the vegetable bed past my amazing polytunnel that I'm super happy with. As you can see, we've topped up the asparagus bed just with a little bit of compost, and the rest of the perennial bed we haven't added anything to yet this year. I'm going to add some horse manure when I get it here, and there's a few weeds that I need to take care of first. Not too many, but just a few. So I just wanted to share a couple of other things that we've got done over the weekend. So we were given some bare root fruit at Christmas that we hadn't got around to planting out yet, and we've got that into some of these tubs. we just thought it might be a nice idea to have some in tubs that we can move around. We're not sure where we want them yet. We've already got most of these things growing elsewhere up in the food forests. We just like the idea of having some in pots and seeing the difference, you know, seeing the difference in how quickly they grow and how much they produce. But it's going to be a slow process. It's a bit of an experiment, and you know, bare root fruit bushes, they're not particularly expensive. You can afford to experiment a little bit, and like I say, they were given to us, so yeah, it's just something we wanted to do. So we've got gooseberries here and blackcurrants just behind, and then over here we've got 2 raspberries. So these are in 2 more pots. We've got holes drilled on the side about 2 inches up from the bottom, the idea being because we live in the UK, we get a lot of rain. We need some nice big holes to allow the water to drain out, but that bottom 2 inches can fill up, and that's going to help protect them from drought. So they're going to have a decent amount of water in there, which is going to wick up through the rest of the compost the rest of the time. Most of our raspberries are just here, and we've got a mixture of early and late varieties in a row through here and a row at the back there, with the grapevine just behind. And now I've also managed to pot on my 3 tea plants. The other 2 are just behind me there, but I've put them into much bigger pots. I want to get them all into possibly even the next size up from this. The 2 at the back definitely need to be in bigger pots, but I want to give these every possible chance of, you know, really pushing on and getting nice and big. But there's loads of lovely new growth. You see the buds there, and yeah, I think they're going to be quite happy here, and I can't wait to try out some cropping from them. I've still got my 2 rhubarbs there that I need to plant out. Again, I haven't really decided where they're going to go yet, but if I can't come up with anywhere better, I'm going to put them at the back there, because I think they might act really nicely as weed suppressant to stop the weeds encroaching from that hedgerow. So yeah, I might well put them back there unless somewhere better springs to mind. What a lovely time of year. I've still got to get all my seedlings out. I'll probably do that a bit later. I'll probably do that after it's got dark, so won't be able to share that with you. But yeah, I'll be bringing them out today and putting them in either one of the polytunnels or in that little plastic greenhouse back there where I showed you the rest of my seedlings yesterday. Just thinking what else I've got to share with you. We've also got so much I want to share because it's just such a great time of year. We had some overwintering crops in here. They've not done particularly well. They've been eaten by pests. C'est la vie. Very easy not to let it get to you when you've got so much else, you know, positive going on. The kale are just starting to run to seed now, so they're going to be coming out and they're going to make great animal fodder. So they'll be coming out fairly soon. The spinach has done fantastically well and isn't looking to bolt just yet. That's perpetual spinach we planted last year, but we do have some fresh stuff coming in to replace it. And the chard, which I'm hoping is going to basically perennialise. The reason I'm mentioning these is because I'm thinking what I'm going to do. They've acted as really good weed suppressants. So I'm thinking I'm going to use a combination of these 3 plants to plant the borders to stop grass encroaching onto the bed. So that's going to be a work in progress. But I think, you know, if I had a row of kale along this side this year maybe, and then next year when that goes to seed, I replace that with chard. If my chard doesn't perennialise there, even if it does, you know, maybe I plant some there and then I take that out and keep it here instead. But something that's going to just protect that encroachment. At the far end, it's not been as bad, and here I've already got some edible perennials. I've got some garlic that I have already perennialised, and that's what's growing along the edge of that bed back there. I think I must have dug up too much at the front and they've all come out, so I need to replace that with garlic or something else. And of course we've extended the bed here, so there's more edging to come up with ideas for, but these crops are forefront in my mind as serving that purpose because they're so vigorous, they are so shady, you know, they're going to take up all the space that they're given and really stop anything else from coming in. So they're my go-tos at the moment in terms of a weed suppressant crop that I can use to stop the grass encroaching. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to interplant my paths. So we had these same stones we were using when the bed was just 2/3 the size it is now. They've got nice big gaps in between, so I'm actually going to interplant them with herbs, just because I think what a great use of that space. We cannot grow enough basil here. It doesn't matter how much we grow, we use it. So it would be lovely if we could, we had to buy basil this winter. So it would be lovely if we could grow enough basil to use through the summer and save to get us through the winter. So that's my plan for in between the paths there. Not entirely of basil, but a lot of basil and some other herbs. Now I know that a basil plant isn't going to be, really, really low. And I know that it's going to be in a path and stuff, but I don't mind stepping over it at all. It's no different to if you didn't have paths, stepping over your rows of plants to get to the next one. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. So on my way back to the car park now to pick up my next bin, and then I actually am going to go in and have a coffee and my tea. Tea tonight is a pie that I made over the weekend. We just put the pastry topping on it now, and it's just gone in the oven. I do love a pie. I love pastry. Yeah, so here's my last bin, my last job to do before I go in the house. So I will sign off now and speak to you guys soon. Cheers.